Hi, everybody. About 20 years back, when I started my career and I had barely taken my first salary in ITC, I used to admire people who had big cars. I used to admire people who had big houses, and I wanted to be like them. And over the next 10 years, I worked hard after my MBA. I started my own business a couple of years later, and I realized even though my income had gone up by 10 times in the next 8 years of my life, my savings had not moved at all. I was still broke. And that's when I came upon this book by Robert Kiyosaki called Rich Dad Poor Dad, which totally blew my mind away in terms of my approach towards money. In this video, I am going to talk about 9 key money lessons that you should take. If you are earning a lot of money, I mean, if you are still, if you're earning lakhs of rupees and still can't make ends meet and barely have enough to show for your, expenses, and a lifestyle of earning is giving you one house and one car, there is something seriously wrong with the way we are spending our money. And in this video, I'm going to talk about 9 ways in which you can change your approach towards money. And that's the reason you are always broke. So watch this video. If you're always broke and 100% dependent on your salary, that's what we'll get into. Hi everybody, my name is Maneesh Konkar. I'm a corporate trainer. I run a digital marketing agency. On this channel, we have various inputs on sales, marketing, personal finance, money, and leadership. Okay, and do have a look at our various courses. You'll find the link in the description. Okay. All right, let's begin. So, Robert Kiyosaki is an American investor and has written this book called Rich Dad Poor Dad. The first time I came upon this book was early 2004 or so, and I really internalized the learnings from this book about a couple of years later. And subsequently, I binge watched about 10 of his books, binge read 10 of his books. The first example, okay, that I want to give in terms of the approach towards money is definition of assets and liabilities. Now, mind you, I'm a finance person. Okay, I did my MBA marketing and finance from IIM Bangalore, and I have learned finance. Okay, and while of course I struggled through that subject when I was in campus, subsequently I started doing a lot of research on Warren Buffett and I've read various finance books. So your accountant tells you that your car is your asset, the house is your asset, and you should buy more assets, right? Robert Kiyosaki has a different definition of asset. The first definition, and this is what blew my mind away, what he says is an asset is something that puts money in your pocket. Liability is something that takes away money from your pocket. Okay. Now, this was the first eye opener. Is that all right? Asset, the definition is not the double entry system of bookkeeping that we as BComs and MBAs have been taught, but it's something to do with cash flow. As they say, sales is vanity, profits is sanity, cash flow is reality. So the reason you are poor is because of the way you are managing your cash flow. The first definition to understand is what is an asset? An asset is something that puts money in your pocket. Liability is something that takes away money from your pocket. Okay. Now, let's come to the second point. By this definition, therefore, is your car an asset? Let's take an example. Does the car give you a single naya paisa in income? Well, if you are a taxi driver, if you are an Ola taxi or an Uber taxi driver, your car is an asset. Why? Because it produces an income for you. But for you and I who buy cars and move around, okay, in them after paying loans, what is happening is the car, as soon as you buy the car, it depreciates about 10 to 15%, 20% in the first year, 3 or 4 years, and it has depreciated about 30% from its purchase price. So it doesn't give you any cash flow. In fact, it takes money out of your pocket. So every month you are spending money on the fuel of the vehicle. Every 3 months to 6 months, you pay some maintenance on it. You're paying a parking charge, okay, and it's basically a liability. Self-occupied property, by that definition, is also a liability. A property that you own, which you rent out, the rent does not pay the EMI on the property or does not pay for the maintenance of the property, is also a liability. A property that appreciates and gives you a positive cash flow where the rental yield is more than the expenses on the property, that is a property that classifies as an asset. All right, quite a different way of looking at cars and liability, cars and assets alike. So as per Robert Kiyosaki, and I'll come to in a minute come to why this definition is important and why this classification is important. Because you and I spend tons of money buying bigger cars and bigger houses. But the richest people in the world don't necessarily do that. Okay. So are cars and self-occupied property assets? No, they're not. As per Robert Kiyosaki, they are liabilities. Now the question is, why is this definition so important? Because if you look at your car as an asset, there is a tendency to buy a bigger asset, and therefore there is a tendency to buy a bigger car. But if you look at your car as a liability, now we're not saying don't buy a car. Okay, our public transport systems are horrible, and there's huge amount of traffic. It's dusty. It's hot. We are in a hot country, so of course you will want to travel more comfortably. So yes, we should all buy cars. But what is the size of the car that you are looking at? And if I look at my car as an asset, there is a tendency to buy a bigger and bigger car. If I look at my self-occupied property as an asset, there is a tendency for me to pour money into it. So one, I have a tendency to buy a bigger and bigger house. Secondly, I have a tendency to pour money into that house because I'm under the impression that it's an asset. But in reality, self-occupied property is a liability. Cars are also liabilities, and therefore you would buy it to the bare minimum of what you need and not what you want. There is no end to how much you and I want anything. There is a limit on how much you actually need. So do you really need a super premium car? If you're going to use it in the city, why do you need a luxury sedan at all? Okay, that's the question that we need to start asking ourselves. Now, from here emerges step number 3, which is, what is the difference in the finance behavior, the purchase behavior of the rich, the poor, and the middle class? Let's look at the poor. The poor barely have any money. They earn, and most of that money gets spent in living a life. So most of it goes into rent. Most of it goes into eating, okay, into food that they are cooking at home. Okay, basic living, transport. That is what takes up the entire cash flow of the poor. What is the cash flow of the rich? The rich buy assets, right? They buy assets which put money in their pockets. But what do we in the middle class do? Is we buy liabilities thinking they are assets. We buy cars, we buy property. Gold has appreciated as an asset, but if you're buying gold in the form of jewelry, there's a debate out on whether gold as an asset is an asset class. If you're buying biscuits or a gold fund or something, that's a different matter altogether. So what do we in the middle class do? I'm going to look at our purchase behavior for cars. I'm going to look at our purchase behavior for and I'm going to look at our purchase behavior for property. Okay, so we in the middle class buy liabilities thinking they are assets, and that's the reason why we don't have too much to say, to in savings, because most of it is in the form of these two things. Children's marriage. If you look at the biggest expense that we incur in our lives, um, the property is the single biggest expense. The car is the second biggest expense. Children's education, marriage. These are the four things. Okay. And most of us are interested in putting it on Instagram and on Facebook, the expense that we are putting in all of these cars and all of these liabilities. And that's the reason why our savings are so low. And that's the reason why your negotiating power is low. That's the reason why you're stuck in a job even though you don't enjoy the working environment, even though you're not happy with the salary. Why don't we quit? This is the reason why we take orders from clients who are not 100% comfortable to work with. Okay, this is because we are stuck, and that's because of our finance behaviors. All right, so step number 4 is, what exactly is the goal? When I look at my goals in the early part of my life, my goal was to buy a Honda City, my goal was to buy a Mercedes, my goal was to buy a bigger house. But if you look at the behavior of certain Gujaratis that I know, and Gujaratis are awesome in terms of finance management, as a Gujarati becomes richer, he doesn't buy a bigger house for himself. He will buy an income producing asset, a property which gets him a rental income. Okay, that is the goal. So what is the definition of goal of a finance goal? Most of us will have a finance goal. I want to buy a bigger car. I want to buy a bigger house. But let's look at something called freedom ratio. So I want you to pick up a pen and just make a note of these three things. I want you to write down your salary, your CTC, post-tax CTC. I want you to write down the amount of money. If your salary were to stop, if you were to get fired from your job, or if you were to quit your job and look at some other property, some other opportunity out there, what is it that you would do? You would quit your job. And if you quit your job, how much money would you continue to make on an average per month? Let's say you have some, what is your passive income? So we call this active income, we call this passive income. Active income is your salaried income, your income from business. But suppose your business were to shut down for whatever reason, okay, and you still have your passive income that continues. And then you got your third component, which is expenses. So what I want you to do is, let's say you are a family of two, you live in a house and you spend maybe 1 lakh rupees per month. You're in a salary, your salary is about 2 lakhs a month. Okay. Now, if your salary were to stop, let's say you have a few fixed deposits which get you about 10,000 rupees a month. Okay, 1,20,000 is your fixed deposit return per year. Okay, we'll keep taxes out of the equation. So now what we are talking about is you have a 10,000 rupee passive income and you have 1 lakh of monthly expenses. So what is freedom ratio? Freedom ratio is 10,000 rupees divided by 1 lakh, which is 10%. Now, the day this ratio crosses 100% is the day you are financially free. You have no more need to work. You only want to work. You have no need to work because your passive income pays for your expenses on a month-on-month basis. Now, passive income doesn't mean that you start your own business. It can also be stocks. It can also be rental yield from property. And property doesn't have to be a residential property. It can be a commercial property. It can be dividends that you are getting from your stocks. Okay. So freedom ratio is the percentage of your expenses, okay, reasonable expenses that are getting met out of the passive income that you have. This is the extent to which you have power. So mind you, this is a completely different way of looking at of financial freedom. And what we're talking about is you may never stop working in your life. You may continue to be in a salaried job till the age of 60, or you may continue to run your business, till the age of 70. But the point is that you are not working for money anymore. You are working because of the joy of working itself. All right. So this is point number 4. What is your freedom ratio right now? This is the reason why we tend to be dependent on our salaries, because we've got expenses. We build these empires for ourselves. We've got 2 or 3 houses. We want to go on foreign tours. We want to go and have luxury vacations. We want to do destination weddings for our children. Okay, all of this costs money. All of these are liabilities, and all of these take money away from your pocket, keeping us dependent on our salaries and therefore powerless. All right. Now, step number 5 is, the concept is, why are you working so hard? It's because your money is not working that hard. So passive income is the rate at which your money is working. Okay. Salary is the rate at which you are working. Why are you, working so hard? Because your money is not working hard. Okay. If your passive income is low, the analogy that Robert Kiyosaki gives is, it is because you don't have enough passive income, and that's the reason why the concept is that the harder your money works, the less you have to work. The more you make money from passive income, and therefore the lesser is the dependence on salary. The more confident you are, the more aggressive you will be, and I mean aggressive in a good sense. That's the whole point of making your money work harder. So how do we implement this principle? That's what the next point is all about. Okay, first point we're talking about is tone down your lifestyle. Do you really need a 25 lakh, 40 lakh car? Okay, is that your goal? What difference is it going to make? Is it going to help you reach your destination faster? If all you're going to do is put it on Facebook, then you are only buying the car to impress people. As they say, some of the worst behavior of the middle class is the tendency we spend money that we don't have to buy products that we don't need to impress people that we don't like. So tone down your lifestyle in terms of, do you really need a big car? Do you really need a new car? Can we buy a second-hand car? Do you need a smaller house in a not so premium location? These are the 2 biggest expenses that you will make in your life. Children's education you should not compromise on, but in terms of lifestyle, you need to really go out and eat in a Marriott every time. You can go to a cheaper restaurant. Do you need to use the most expensive wine or drink every time you go outside? Maybe you can drink at home and go out. I'm not recommending that you drink, but in case that is your lifestyle and that's how you enjoy your life, okay, that's the whole point. The point is to enjoy the money that we are making. Okay, why else would we not do that? But the point is that if I make some minor corrections in lifestyle, for example, buying whenever Flipkart and Amazon have a sale, not buying because there is a sale, but as Warren Buffett says, decide what you want to buy and then wait for the product to go on sale. The sales keep happening on the stock market all the time. There's a sale happening on the National Stock Exchange right now. There are sales happening on Flipkart and Amazon every 2 or 3 months, and that is when you should buy your purchases. You can save thousands of rupees either way. So that's the idea. Tone down your lifestyle, buy a little less, and you will find that you are saving thousands of rupees. Okay. The seventh point we are talking about is learn finance and negotiation skills. A lot of people, especially in the world of sales and marketing, we find them putting finance as an option. I find a lot of people in MBA colleges who are doing that. And the point is that if you don't understand finance, you will end up working for somebody who understands finance. Okay? Negotiation skills. We have videos on this channel on how you can save lakhs of rupees while buying an apartment or when buying a car. There are different things that you can follow and learn finance and negotiation skills to save lakhs of rupees and put all of it into income producing assets and not income reducing liabilities. Buying assets which give us money, stocks which give us, which grow in value are income producing assets. Rental property is an income producing asset. It's a vast subject, all of these things. We're not here giving you advice on how you should do it. You can follow various finance channels on the market for that. But what we are talking about here is your orientation towards money. If you are oriented towards buying liabilities, thinking they are assets simply to show off to other people, you're going to be, no amount of money will be enough for you. I mean, I know people who earn 5 lakhs a year who struggle with money. I know people who earn 20 lakhs a year and still struggle with money. I know people who earn 75 lakhs a year and still complain that they can't make ends meet. And if you're earning so much of money and still can't make ends meet, maybe your ends are a little too wide apart. Okay. All right. Point number eight is find friends who share these habits, who share this orientation towards money that I spoke about. If you move around with three smokers and you're the fourth, you will become a fourth smoker. If you move around with three people who go to the gym, you will end up becoming the fourth person to go to the gym. You have three people who like to who like to go to restaurants and lounges. You will end up becoming the fourth person to go to the restaurant. You go to a so if you find three people who are oriented, who have the same orientation towards money, towards saving and investing rather than spending and impressing people, then you will end up with the right atmosphere around you, and you will not be comparing yourself to other people so much, which is what most of us do when we open our Facebook accounts. Okay. Last point, the power of compounding. Warren Buffett calls the power of compounding as the eighth wonder of the world. Start early. The sooner you start, the better it is. What happens is that we take this car loan and this home loan very early in our lives. Uh, Take a smaller quantity, buy a smaller house, a smaller car, so that the loans don't take up a bigger part of our income. And therefore, this power of compounding, the rule of 72, that your money will double at the rate at 72 divided by X number of years. All these things are arising out of this whole start early concept. All right. So listen to Warren Buffett. He's one of those people who's made the greatest amount of returns over a greater than 10-year time frame. There are only two people in the world who have made returns greater than 24% on a 10-year-old time frame. First one is Warren Buffett. The second one is Peter Lynch of Fidelity Magellan. So these are the 9 points towards coming up with a more balanced approach towards finance. If you are living paycheck to paycheck, salary to salary, uh, start by implementing these concepts, and you will find your life is becoming much more lighter. You are not, you're not, your stress levels will reduce. You will find that it doesn't take too much money for you to start saving money. And as you learn finance skills, as you learn how to invest, as you develop an orientation of saving and being conservative in money, you will find that your negotiating power improves. You will also find that you will be able to demand more because you have developed the ability to walk away in case they don't give you the amount of salary that you deserve. So, in terms of negotiation skills, this is one of the best methods of saving money and investing in assets that we are talking about. So, if you reached till here, thanks a lot. I urge you to follow the channel. I urge you to share this video with your friends and build this culture in each other. And have a look at some of the other videos on the channel. There's a lot of interesting stuff on personal growth and career success. I'm Maneesh Konkar. Thanks a lot, and I will see you in the next video.